The next step that you're going to do for this task is you're going to add the chimney. So you'll just select the rectangle tool over in the tool palette and you'll click and drag. Make sure, again, because we'll go back and fix this all up later, that you're dragging the corners over the diagonal line if you're doing something like this. We're going to merge a lot of the elements later, which is why we're doing this. Okay, so we've done that. Now we're going to start using the pen tool. Now the pen tool, you probably need to zoom in a bit when you're working on more detailed work. So I've done that. And the pen tool can be really difficult to get to use. It looks really simple, but it takes a bit of control. And not just doing straight lines, but more doing curved lines and following sort of shapes. So what you're going to do if you're doing something like a seed, now you can see here, if I'm hovering, and it shows up this vertical line, it means it's centered, which is what I want. So I'm just going to click once, not hold anything down. Then I will hold down the shift key. So I'll move down, hold down the shift key, click again, but I won't release the click. I will drag. So you click and drag. So you can see here there's two arms, and the way that I move these arms determines which way the shape goes. So the right arm is taking it out to the right, and the left arm, and that silly key keeps coming up. So the left arm determines which way the next line is going to go. So if I were to leave it like that, I'll show you what happens. And then I go and curve around. What it's doing is it's trying to follow this line here and take it out and around, but I don't want that because I want to have a sharp corner for the seed. So if you do any mistakes, just do Control Z and that will undo the last one. So starting again, I'm going to click, hold down the shift key, move down, click, hold down and drag out to the left. And then with the Alt key, I'm going to click on that node that is at the bottom. And so that removes the forward arm that's going to determine the next way that I go, but it leaves the right-hand one, which is what I want. So then I'm going to move up to the top. See the little circle there? That means that I've joined that shape. And then I'm going to click and I'm going to drag and see the arm comes out and I can drag it until I'm happy with the shape. So that's my shape now for the seed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that shape and create a pattern of the seeds in the background like you would have seeds on watermelon. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to start dragging, but after I start dragging, I'm going to hold down the Alt key and that's going to duplicate the seed. Now I'm going to repeat that again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dragging, hold down the Alt key, and then I'm going to hold down the Shift key. And what the Shift key does is it drags it along the same horizontal, vertical, or diagonal axis. So I'm going to take it to about there, and then I'm going to click, hold down the Alt key and the Shift key, and drag it over here. Okay, so I've got my seeds there. I think they're probably a bit too close to that top window. So what I will do is click and drag just to select the seeds, and then with the arrow key, just move it up. Now you can do the copy and paste, that's fine, and then move things. So I could do Control C and Control V, select that and move it down here, or you could do what I just showed you with the Alt and Shift. So I've got these ones here, they're in place, and then I need another one for the left-hand side. My triangle's getting larger. So start moving it, click on the Alt, then the Shift, and move it out to the side. Okay, so, and then I want to repeat that a couple more times. I'm going to use the same alignment that is up here. So I'm going to click on this, and to add to my selection, I'll hold down the Shift key and then click on this one. So that's only selecting these two outside ones. So you can see the highlighted blue. And then I will start moving down, but I'll click on the Alt key and the Shift key so it goes down in the vertical axis and put those seeds down there. And again, I will move these down here with the Alt key and the Shift key, but then I will click on this with the arrow key, just move it out to the side here, and with the arrow key, I'll just move that one out to the side there. Okay, so now I've got all my shapes. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to start merging shapes. So what I want to have is I want to have one shape here that I can fill for the rind, and then I want to have my chimney connected to the house. So to connect the chimney to the house, I'm going to just select that outline and the chimney, nothing else. Now, what you can see is, remember I grouped the windows before. I don't want those windows grouped anymore with the outline. So I'm going to either Object Ungroup from up the top here, or Control-Shift-G, which is to ungroup. So Control-G is to group and Control-Shift-G is to ungroup. Okay, so now I'm just going to select my outline of the watermelon and the chimney, just those two, and then I'm going to select the Shape Builder tool. This is a fun tool to use. So click on the Shape Builder tool. Now see what happens when I click on that area. It's filling in that whole area, but what you want to do is, and then the same here. So I'm going to click on my chimney, drag it across this line here, and then drag it into here. So now I have merged all those shapes there. Now what I want to do next is I want to make another shape for the rind, so that when I go to fill it, I can actually fill this shape. It's not going to fill the whole entire background. So I'm going to click on my line, and I'm going to click on the base only, not the door. And then I'm going to select the Shape Builder tool, and see, if I do that, then I have that shape there. Now what happens then, see these overhanging bits here, they're a separate entity. So if I select them, the overhanging bits, click on the backspace key twice, and that deletes that. Now I have this. So if I wanted to fill that, say, green for a rind, let's do a bright green, then I would click on that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to sort out the door. So the door crosses over a couple of lines. So I'm going to select those lines. So it's going to be, I'm going to select the door, hold down the Shift key, click on this line here and the base line. And then I'm going to use my Shape Builder tool. I'm going to click in the door and drag it down just to there. And now I have my door that cuts through there. Now this bit that's overhanging the bottom, all I simply do is select the node, hit the backspace key twice, and it deletes that shape, but it leaves everything else there. So now I have my object that I can start filling, but before I do that, I'm going to add text. So I'm going to select the Type tool, and I'm going to click on the background. See how small it is? You will make it larger than that, but I'll type in Sustainable Estate. I'm going to turn my caps on because it's uppercase in the sketch here. So SUSTAINABLE, and that's lowercase. My caps didn't go on. Let's try it again. And then the estate is centered underneath, and that at the moment isn't centered. So I'm going to highlight that. We've got up the top here 12-point type. I'm going to make it about 60. And then paragraph, I'm going to have it centered. So one line of type centers underneath the other. Going to see how that fits under my logo. Now, what I want to do is make sure that the text runs to the edge of the logo. But first I want to select a typeface that I like. So I'll select the whole type with the Type tool. I'll click on this arrow up here, and then it shows me my selection of type that I can use. So usually for a logo, you go for something a bit bolder, so that if you've got a logo that's reduced down very small, you can read it still, and if it's large, you can read it. And I'd probably have it clean and bold. So something like, now there's Franklin Gothic you could possibly have, maybe medium. You could go for something much more creative if you want to. What I will also do is I'll look at the spacing. So if you click on character, now this is where you see the type size, the leading, which is the space between the bottom line of the top row of type and the bottom row of the type below it, 72. So if I wanted to tighten that up, I could make it about, say, 65 and see that bottom line moves up. I can go back to character, and this is the kerning. So if I want to separate spaces between individual letters, I could choose that. But what I want to do is make it quite even with the spacing. So I'll start with, say, 50. And what that is the tracking. And the tracking can enlarge the spacing between groups of letters. So I'll go enter. See how it, the type itself didn't stretch out, but the space in between the type did. So now I can move this to align it underneath here. And again, I can select all of this and group it. Not group. Select all of this again. So drag over all of it, Control G to group, and then select the text underneath and do this align tool. And now I know that it's aligned underneath. So there's my text. If I think that I want to tighten this up a little bit more, the line underneath, then I'll go back up to character again and maybe make it 60. So I'll play around till I'm happy with it. Okay, that maybe is a bit better. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start colouring in our shape. So I will have to ungroup it again to do that. So Control Shift G. The first thing I will colour it in is the watermelon. So I'm going to double click on the fill of the shape and let's select red. Okay, so that's filled. What it's done is blocked out the windows. So to get those windows back, I just go to Object, Arrange, Center Back. Okay, and there's something overhanging. So what it's done is it's also sent it to the back of my actual page here. So Object, Unlock All. So I'm just going to move this to the side for now. Okay, so now I've got that. I want to make this shape. So I'll select this side and this side, double click again, and I'm going to select a green. And then my seeds are going to be black. So I'm going to click on one, hold down the Shift key so that I'm adding to my selection. Get all of these seeds.
Attention students, could Chelsea Benton and Kimmy Honor please come to the office? Chelsea Benton and Kimmy Honor.
And then I'm going to select black. So I've got my black seeds. Now for the windows, decide what colour you want those to be, either white or maybe a lighter red, that's up to you, or a pink. And the same with the door, decide what you want for that. Okay, so there's the start of your logo. The other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that the lines are all the same stroke thickness for your logo. So I'll click on this and see up the top where it's got stroke 0.332. This stroke here is at the same 0.332. So just make sure that all your strokes are the same so that it all sort of blends in nicely. So what you need to do now is to save your logo, play around with colour and placement and selection of type until you're happy with it. And there's your first logo. I'll show you how to do other shapes next, including wrapping type around, say, a circle. Okay, thank you.